po sa inyong lahat. I would like to start by making some things very clear before we start the proceedings today. I have heard, and I assume many of us here have heard, accusations and insinuations regarding this committee and these proceedings, implying that this is somehow a political exercise or an attack on an individual. I would like to make things very clear. This is not the case. At this point, I will apologize to some of the people watching as I will be mentioning a lot of numbers during my remarks. This is necessary in order to make clear that it is not any enmity, passion, or hostility which drives this committee. It is simply a case of numbers that do not make sense. This is why, if you would recall, last week's hearing focused on the issue of confidential funds. Ano ba ang confidential fund na ito at bakit ito importante? Ano ang kinalaman nito sa accountability? Based on Joint 2015-01 of the COA, confidential funds are funds disbursed to, among others, national government agencies for their confidential expenses. On the other hand, confidential expenses are those relating to surveillance activities which support the operations of the agency. So sa madaling salita, ang confidential funds ay pera para sa mga operasyon ng pagbabantay at pagmamanman ukol sa mga aktibidad ng ahensya. While this may seem to be a very specific definition, we cannot help but notice that the joint circular provides very loose requirements for the release of confidential funds to agencies and also requires less specific information and documents in order to liquidate and account for. In Notice of Disallowance number 2024-002-100, the COA disallowed the amount of over 73 million pesos, representing almost 60% of the 125 million pesos in confidential funds. Pwede po ba yung slide? Paki-present. Almost 60% of the 125 million pesos in confidential funds allocated to the OVP in 2022. Equally significant is the fact that this amount was indicated to have been fully spent over the period of 11 days. Wala pang kalahating buwan, naubos na daw ang 125 million. Supposedly to fund surveillance of 132 areas. This amounts to 11 million pesos spent per day for these surveillance activities conducted over the holidays. Lumalabas po, mahigit 11 million po sa isang araw ang ginagastos po nila sa surveillance activities. Kasama na po dito ang Pasko. I note that while these numbers are already staggering, this is only a portion of what this committee is investigating and dealing with. In fiscal year 2023, the OVP received 500 million pesos in confidential funds. This includes the 125 million mentioned above, disbursed in 2022. In addition to this amount, spent in 11 days, the OVP was disbursed 125 million per quarter for the first 3 quarters of 2023. The entirety of which has been questioned by the COA through Audit Observation Memorandum o yung tinatawag po nating AOM. In other words, one of the 500 million we are talking about, only about 10% or 51 million has been definitively allowed by COA. Sa 500 million po, halos 10% lamang po ang pinayagan ng COA at sinabing walang problema. At ito po yung nagkakahalaga ng 51 million. When one goes deeper and looks at the liquidation reports for these disbursements, a disturbing pattern and similarity emerges with perfectly round numbers. Ni isang sentimo po ay walang butal. Being attributed to expenses such as medicine and food, paulit-ulit po at parang kinapi-paste ang liquidation ng confidential funds ng OVP. With this in mind, to all but the most biased observers, it should be very easy to see why this committee has chosen to investigate the possibility of gaps in the regulation of confidential funds, as it is possible that we have seen these gaps exploited before our very eyes. What we have seen regarding the usage by the OVP of its confidential funds certainly gives this committee and the country cause to want to find out the facts behind this. Ultimately, to fulfill this august body's mandate of crafting effective laws and legislations to protect our people's hard-earned money. This committee is understandably very alarmed at these reports implying misuse of public funds. In particular, because of the astronomical, almost unimaginable amount of money involved. I must stress at this point that the sheer vastness of these potentially misused funds sets this matter apart from other instances of irregularity and disallowance. These amounts easily surpass the threshold for the crime of plunder under our laws. It is incumbent upon us who are duty-bound to ensure that our legislation and regulations are effective enough to protect the money of the people, to investigate and get to the bottom of these glaring irregularities. As we begin today's hearing, I must make this clear. This committee is not about politics, not about attacks. It is not even about the release or approval of any budget, as some have implied. This investigation is not prompted by any motive other than a desire to make the numbers make sense. This committee and these proceedings are about accountability. We seek to learn the truth of how public money, ang pera ng taong bayan, is being used, whether or not our current laws, rules, and procedures are sufficient to ensure the security and safety of these funds. Maraming salamat po. At this juncture, the Chair would like to recognize the presence of the Honorable Congressman from 1st District of Manila, Congressman Ernesto Dionisio Jr., the Honorable Vice Chairperson Johnny Pimentel of 2nd District, Surigao del Norte, and the Honorable Amparo Maria Zamora of Taguig City, 2nd District. In the previous hearing, we have requested our witnesses, guests, and resource person to provide the committee with certain documents. I am informed that the DepEd complied and sent an electronic copy of the bidding documents of the Department of Education, particularly those relating to its procurement activities for 2022 and August 31, 2024. The Bureau of Treasury likewise sent fidelity bond documents of the OBP and DepEd for calendar year 2022 to 2024, as well as designation of employees of both agencies who are appointed as special disbursing officers. The DBM has yet to comply with the request of the committee to furnish the committee a copy of the letter request of the OBP for the release of contingent fund and some requests for PS and MOOE in 2022 during the implementation of the 2022 budget. Nandito po ba yung representative ng DBM?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chair, we provide the committee of the letter.
Okay.
We're just having a clearance for the release of the document, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Maraming salamat po. Mag-out ba tayo? Pa-out muna natin. Out na muna. Out na muna tayo. Papa-out ka na muna.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, Chi Suarez.
just some admin matters. I noticed there are new faces present with us today. Thank you for your attendance in today's hearings. However, insofar as this is a continuation of the hearing last week and there are new faces, can I just ask if our new guests have taken their oath?
Comsec.
Yes, Your Honors. Our new guests haven't taken their oath, Your Honor.
Oh, there are not. Okay, paki-take lang po ng oath yung mga hindi pa po nakakapag-oath. Pwede po tumayo po kayo. Comsec, paki-take po sila ng oath.
To all our new resource persons, witnesses, and guests who are present and invited today, kindly stand up and please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the statements you will give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Your Honor, the oath has been administered. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, since last hearing, yung mga representative po ng ibang departamento ay nakapagbigay na rin po ng kanilang mga statements. Yung mga hindi pa po, kagaya po ng DepEd at saka ng Bureau of Treasury, would you like to say something? May mga ready po ba kayong statement para gusto po ninyong sabihin dito sa committee?
Mr. Chair.
We will recognize you. Sino pong gusto magsimula? DepEd, from DepEd po.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Congressman Acop is recognized.
Thank you. May I know from the COMSEC if we have invited Attorney Zulaika Lopez, Attorney Limuel Ortonio, Madam Julieta Villa del Rey, Kevin Jerome Tenido, Attorney Rosalyn Sanchez, and Madam Gina F. Acosta. Have we invited them in the last hearing, Mr. Chair?
Comsec.
Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you for the recognition. We have not invited them in the previous hearing, particularly only Ms. Gina F. Acosta and Ms. Julieta Villa del Rey. However, the invitation sent to them dated September 20, 2024 included only from the names mentioned by Congressman Acop, Rosalyn L. Sanchez, and Ms. Gina F. Acosta, and Ms. Julieta Villa del Rey. I was informed that they are not present today, Your Honor.
They're not present today,
Oh, Your Honor.
and they were sent invitations to attend this hearing.
Yes, actually, Your Honor, the content of the invitation was addressed to Vice President Duterte, stating that the committee formally invites the attendance of the following officials and employees of the Office of the Vice President, and thereafter a list of employees from the OVP amounting to 17 employees, Your Honor.
May I move that since they were invited and did not appear in this hearing, May I move, Mr. Chair, that we issue a show cause order pursuant to our protocol to the people who were invited but did not come to attend this hearing. So move, Mr. Chair.
Seconded.
Your Honor,
Comsec.
may I please correct my previous statement? Attorney Lemuel Ortonio was also invited in the previous invitation dated for the hearing September 18. He was again invited in the September 2024 invitation.
Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
Mr. Chairman, point of information or
Yes, Congressman Dan Fernandez.
this representation wasn't able to be present in the last hearing, and being a member of this committee, I just wanted to be informed of the situation wherein I was able to watch the some commotion of the members of the committee, and what I've learned is the problem of the rules that will govern this committee. Can I be clarified or be informed of what really rules that will govern our committee hearing?
Well, we will be guided by the rules of the House with respect to the inquiry in aid of legislation. Firstly,
Mr. Chair.
under the...
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Congressman Acop, you're recognized.
since the good Honorable Fernandez was not present in the last hearing, for reasons I do not know, there was a question, Your Honor, that was raised in the hearing held on 18 September 2024, whether we would follow the rules of procedure governing proceedings in this committee. And there was also an issue raised that what we should follow should be the rules, the House Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation. Kung matatandaan po ninyo, kung nanood po kayo, si Honorable Rodante Marcoleta questioned a provision of the committee rules which allegedly we did not follow. Yun po yung dahilan. But if we look at the issue at hand, Mr. Chair, I have here, I prepared a manifestation regarding this issue para ma-satisfy o ma-clarify natin kung ano talaga dapat ang rules na masunod natin. May I be allowed to manifest, Mr. Chair?
Please continue, Congressman
Yeah.
Acop.
Considering that the rules of procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation was adopted subsequent to the rules of procedure governing proceedings before the Committee on Good Governance, this humble representation believes that it is the former that must govern and not the latter. This is the basic rule. Section 21, Article 6 of our Constitution states that inquiries in aid of legislation must be made in accordance with the duly published rules of procedure. I would like to repeat that, Mr. Chair. Duly published rules of procedure of Congress. In other words, the rules of procedure that this committee will follow are those rules of procedure that have been duly published in the official gazette. Following this constitutional mandate, Mr. Chair, this committee is mandated to follow the House Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation, which was approved by the plenary and published on 2 June 2023 in the official gazette. On the other hand, as to the internal rules of this committee, I understand that this has not been published. In this regard, the Supreme Court in Garciliano versus the House of Representatives Committee on Public Information, GR numbers 170338 and 179275 in the year 2008, emphasized that Congress cannot use unpublished rules of procedure in the conduct of its legislative inquiry. This is not to say that the adoption of the internal committee rules was wrong, as this provided guidance to the committee in the conduct of inquiries in aid of legislation, especially considering that at the time we adopted the internal rules, the House Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation has not yet been approved, adopted, or published. So, Mr. Chair, having said that, I think I have the duty to move and submit a motion for this committee to confirm for clarity that it is the House Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of the legislation which governs this proceeding and not the committee rules, Mr. Chair. So move.
There's a motion to confirm.
Mr. Chairman, before
Yes.
we move on that matter, no, because this representation believes that the rules that will be governing our conduction of this committee is based on the rules that was approved by the plenary and was published in accordance with the provision of the Constitution under Article what? Article 6.
Yeah.
Article 6.
So, for that matter, before we take action on this matter, can I be clarified on something that is very important, considering that I think the good gentleman from Antipolo have said that on August 2022, the rules of the good government and public accountability have adopted a rule that will govern them. And the House of Representatives on May 2023, as the good gentleman have mentioned, have adopted and published the said rules. Having said those element of time that transpired, no, from August 2022 to May 2023, and considering that the good government adopted that rules, what happened to the resolutions and privileged speeches that was delivered and was referred and undergone the procedure of preliminary determination by the committee and the order of preliminary determination that was conducted by the committee? Will it suffice to say that those hearings that were conducted must be stricken out of the committee records?
Congressman Akop.
Mr. Chair, for the benefit of the gentleman from Laguna, as I've stated in my manifestation, noong wala pa pong na-approve na House Rules on Inquiry, ang ginagamit po natin ay yung internal rules which was approved by the committee. Yun po. But when the House Rules governing legislative inquiry by Congress was approved, then it already superseded yung ating internal rules. That is the stand of this representation, Your Honor.
Thank you. And
With the,
if I may add,
okay,
Congressman.
go ahead. Ay, sorry.
Yes. Thank you po. If I may add the manifestation of Congressman Akop. Basahin po natin yung Section 18 ng ating internal rules dito po sa in aid of legislation. Sabi po dito, the committee tasked to conduct an inquiry may adopt internal rules of procedure. Ang ginamit pong word dito is may. So ibig pong sabihin dito, hindi po tayo obligado. Pwede po natin gamitin yung internal rules of procedure natin. Pero, hindi po tayo obligado. So, ano pong ibig sabihin? Ang talagang obligado po talaga tayo dito ay ang gamitin natin, ito pong House Rules na pinasa po sa plenaryo at duly published. Dahil yun po, pag hindi po natin ginamit yun po ay magiging inconsistent po sa ating saligang batas.
I think, Mr. Chairman, no, with that explanation from the good gentleman from Antipolo and the chairman, accordingly, if you're going to look at the Section 34, ng rules natin, these rules that have been adopted by the committee must be also submitted to the plenary. And if it is been proven that it is inconsistent, with our own rules, it is devoid of constitutional requirement as mandated by the Constitution. And one point of information as well, Mr. Chairman, because I'm trying to look at it right now, that these rules that was adopted by the good government is somehow redundant, repetitive, and I think it is preposterous, considering that we have established under our own rules a committee on rules that established the preliminary determination. We have 30 members on the committee on rules, and all the resolutions, all the privileged speeches that are being delivered on the plenary are being referred to the committee on rules. And one of the function of the committee of rules is to determine if there is a present of being referred to that specific committee. And in that case, Mr. Chairman, I believe that this representation believes that making a rule that is inconsistent with the rules that is being adopted by the plenary is somehow well, it's not abusive, it's not arbitrary, but somehow will have this House of Representatives spend so much effort, time, and resources for that matter. Kaya I think, Mr. Chairman, I submit to the position of this body, especially of Chairman Acop and the chairman of this committee. Maraming salamat po sa impormasyon.